guys, it's Beth. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. So today we are building a micro home with Tiny Living stuff pack. This is actually my first time building with Tiny Living. I just bought it the other day as part of the sale. But I've wanted it for a really long time, and I just think it looks like such an interesting pack, and I think the cat and the build by are all just beautiful. So I was really excited to get this. And yeah, I thought I would just dive straight in and go straight for a micro home, which was definitely different and definitely quite difficult for those of you that have the pack and have played with it. Trying to fit everything you need into 32 tiles is quite tricky. And for those of you that have been playing with this pack since it came out, before we had ladders, I don't know how you do it. Even with the ladders in, it was really tricky. So I've seen people doing crazy, like, 8 sim micro homes and stuff, and just like, you must just only have beds. I can't figure out how you fit anything else into the build. So it was really fun, but it was definitely a challenge. And so I started off, I kind of had a rough idea of the shell, and actually I did have a go at building once, and I kind of spent a long time working on the landscaping, and then when I went to go and build the house, the shape just wasn't right, and I hadn't really thought it through, so I actually bulldozed it and started again, which I never really do when I'm building. I usually kind of plan it out beforehand, or at least have a reference picture or something, so this was completely just off the cuff. So as I say, I had one shot at building it, and I got maybe like 20 minutes in and changed my mind and scrapped it. And then I started again. I did decide to do this kind of weird shape. I actually had to get rid of this corner tile on the downstairs floor to make it the right size. So yeah, that's why it's kind of like that weird shape. And also I decided to put the kitchen there. Looking back, I'm actually playing in this house now. I've made a new sim, and I started a new gameplay in this build. And I don't know, maybe I would switch it round. So you see I'm putting like the kind of the Murphy bed and the TV and stuff in the back here. Potentially I should have flipped it and had that at the front, and then I could have had the kitchen along that back wall. So I might actually do like a kind of like renovation of my own build and see if we could make it look any better the second time around. Equally, if you want to download this from the gallery, as I said, it's only base game and Tiny Living. I actually disabled the rest of my packs, so it's just those 2 packs that are in it. So as long as you have Tiny Living, you'll be able to download this lot, and feel free to kind of move it around however you like, but definitely trying to get the functionality that I wanted in the space, like within the limit of the size of the house, was quite tricky. I knew I wanted somewhere to eat, I knew I wanted a desk, and so you can see I put like a table outside, so I thought they should go kind of like outdoor eating space. And then you'll see I play around with putting some island counters downstairs and then putting the laptop on one of them, so you could use it kind of like as eating space or as like a workspace. But because the build is so small, I just felt like having the counters there like just totally cut off the rest of the room. Again, maybe if you had it the other way around, you'd be able to make it work, and I might try and sort of renovate it and see what I can do. But I felt like, you'll see here I'm placing these counters, they just totally blocked off the back of the room, and I didn't like how it looked at all. They were too big. While it is really functional, and I know I see a lot of people building in tiny houses that do that with the counters and then the laptop, so you can kind of use it for 2 purposes. And also your sim could always just put the laptop like in their inventory if they wanted to use that space. But I just didn't like how it looked, so I scrapped it, and then I put the desk back and I put it at a little angle, which I don't normally do. I kind of usually put things pretty straight on, but I just thought it filled the space a bit better. And again, this furniture from Tiny Living is so cute, and you can tell these little like hanging like cactus planters I use everywhere in this build, and I sized them up and put them on the outside. I just thought they were so cute. I'm obsessed with them. It's probably worth the money just for those items on their own. And then you can see here again, I'm using this red shelf mod to do some placement of things. Like, I felt like that shelf on the back of the desk was really empty and you couldn't really place much on it. So yeah, I used that shelf to try and place some more items. And I figured because it's so small and you can't fit a lot of furniture, I felt like I really had to make up for it with decor. So I don't know if you guys understand that, like if you're building kind of tiny houses or like more minimalistic builds maybe, that because it's quite bare in terms of furniture and because they're quite small, I really felt like it would be cute for this to be quite like lived in. So I've definitely got stuff like more decoration and stuff in more places than I would normally have. But I think it came out really cute. I just wanted it to feel like, it's a small space, but I wanted it to feel like it was well decorated and everything. And the sim that I'm actually playing with in this household just now is a conservationist. And she has like the loves outdoors trait, and she's definitely quite like green, so she's got a really nice garden. So I figured she's not really fussed about like having a big house, because she's more fussed about nature and being outside in nature. So I figured she was kind of like the perfect sim for this build. Like, she's living a very minimalist lifestyle and tries to not have too much stuff, and she's got a really tiny home. And that also means that obviously she saves money on bills and stuff. So I figured this was like kind of all about the landscaping and that kind of like modern minimalist kind of vibe, like lots of plants and stuff. So I figured she was like the perfect sim for this build. So I might actually share her on the gallery as well, so you can download her. She's super cute. But yeah, so I'm doing this. You'll see here I'm doing like this kind of like modern landscaping with the pool and the low fences. And I don't really know where this idea came from. Like I was saying, you'll see in most of my past videos, I'm normally like inspired by someone else. So I'm quite often inspired by like Kate Emerald's build. She does loads of like crazy landscaping and stuff. And quite often I'll see a video and think like, oh, I'm going to give that a try. This was kind of completely just out of the top of my head. But I initially wanted to make like round flower beds. And so I had done like Kate's trick of placing like one of the round rugs and then going round the edge of it with something to try and like create a border around it. But because I had all my packs disabled, I didn't have any of the pedestals or anything, so I couldn't find something that would work as a wall or like a border. So it just looked really weird. So I ended up, that's what I did with the first build, and then I ended up scrapping it. And then I was kind of just playing around with these little low fences. And the issue with as well, I had an idea to do the round flower beds and then just to use these low fences around the edge of the rounded deck. But obviously because this is a micro home, the deck counts as tiles. So anytime I placed like a deck or a foundation outside, it would make it go up to like 50 tiles or something. And I was trying to keep it to like the smallest of the micro home size, which is 32 tiles. So then I figured that placing the pools and placing these like little low fences doesn't actually, they don't count, the pools don't count as tiles or anything. So then I figured I could get this like really cool, like fun landscaping, but without affecting it being a micro home. And obviously the kind of reason for keeping it to the 32 tiles to the micro home size is because you get so many benefits from that lot trait. You get like reduced bills, and your skills gain quite twice as fast, and your relationships build twice as fast, and like you're always happy and everything's comfy. Like there's so many perks from having the micro home that I didn't want to sacrifice that just for having like flower beds. Like, because they were only visual, it wasn't, I didn't need the deck or the spaces for anything else. I would rather have used extra tiles for more rooms. So it seemed like a waste. So I figured I would do this with the flower beds, and I really like how it came out, and especially because, as I say, most of the things I've built in the past have been from reference. The fact that I kind of just thought of this, I was really pleased with it because I didn't think it was going to work in the end. But I think it came out super cute, and I really went like all in. Again, the last video that I did, which I think was, or maybe not the last one, the one before that, the video that was the entry for Luce's Tiny Shell Challenge, I really went like in on the landscaping on that one, and I thought I had placed a lot of plants, but this was even more. I think because most of the build was about the garden, I placed so many plants. And then you'll see like I decided that I thought it looked a bit weird being able to see like the soil. Obviously you would have that in a flower bed, but I just wasn't sure about it. So I ended up placing like, you'll see the little low like groups of flowers to really fill it out, so it looks like there's kind of taller flowers growing through the shorter ones. So the bottom of the flower bed is like full of flowers, except for the ones where I've planted stuff, because I actually got the sim to plant stuff. So those ones I didn't place the small flowers over, just so it wouldn't obstruct the plants that I've planted. But in the other beds I've like filled them up with other flowers to make them look really like lush. But there is a lot of landscaping going on here. Most of it's from the build catalogue. There's a few debug items, but not that many. I just find sometimes with the plants especially, like debug is nice, but some of them you can tell are made to be used for like a distance shot, so they're like not 3D, if that makes sense. So you like walk past it and it's totally flat, and I think ruins it a little bit for me. So it depends how you're using them. In the background of a lot, I guess is fine, but yeah. So you can see I went off camera a bit there. I actually forgot to start recording again. I had a break and I forgot to press record, and I just finished the back of the lot, and I ended up extending the pool like all the way around, which I thought was cute. And it just makes it almost like, I was going to say a moat, that's maybe a bit extreme, but like it kind of makes it surrounded by the water, which I think is like really a cute idea. And yeah, also in case you're wondering, I'm aware I haven't addressed this. The reason that this sim I have on this lot just now for playtesting is naked and bald is it's actually my sim self, and she's wearing a really cute like custom content outfit and custom content hair and stuff. And then because I disabled all my packs and I uninstalled all my custom content just to make sure I was only using like base game stuff, when I came into the lot I just like opened the game and I had her as like my most recent sim, so I just used her, and I realised she was like totally naked and bald. And I feel like it's fine, it doesn't really matter, until I was editing the footage, and then I was like, oh, I have footage of her in the game like playtesting and she's bald and naked. So I maybe should have put some clothes on her first, but I just didn't even think about it until I came to editing, and I was like, oh, I just have clips of this like naked sim. But it's fine, it's my sim self, so it's me that should be embarrassed probably, but it's cool. But yeah, so I ended up really liking how this came out, and then you know me, as always, I went round and put loads of lights around in the landscaping, and then I also put lights down in the pool, which you can see, just so that I've said this before, but for me, like those like nighttime screenshots just make such a difference. So I like to put lights and everything out to make sure that it looks like as good as it possibly can, because I think it just adds a lot to the build, and I think that you want to make sure that when you're building that it looks good and not like all light and all times of the day, and that you don't have a build that like looks awesome during the day but then at night it's like dark and you can't really see it. I think having those lights, like especially if you get pictures at night or like in the afternoon when you're putting them on the gallery and stuff, like if you're trying to get people to download your builds, I think if the screenshots like really pop, then people are more likely to like look at them, and I feel like the lighting is a massive part of that. So you know me, I always put like hundreds of outdoor lighting around inside all my plants, inside all the landscaping. I just want it to look like as decorated and like as polished and finished as possible. So I ended up finding these debug planters, which I think must be Tiny Living because they were like super cute. Placed them around the back, and I'm just placing some more kind of like planters and stuff around, some more debug objects, just to try and finish out the landscaping and the outside. You can see I definitely spent longer on the outside than I did on the inside with this build. But yeah, it's a quick one today, but I really enjoyed this, something different for me. We're coming up on the screenshots, so I'm going to go ahead and cut off right here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like and comment and subscribe and do all that fun YouTube stuff. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one. Bye!